Hey man, all right, intermittent fasting. We're gonna do a quick intermittent fasting breakdown. What is it, what some of the benefits are, and how to do it. All right, and also I wanna share with you guys, it's not necessarily for everyone. So just basically watch this video, get an idea if it's something you want to try to incorporate or not. But also when it comes to intermittent fasting, there's several different types of intermittent fasting. The most common, the one I typically recommend if you're wanting to follow an intermittent fasting schedule and put it with my hybrid carb cycling. You can do both of those together and get great results, extreme results. All right, but at the end of the day, you've got to make sure it's something that you can incorporate and you're going to be able to sustain. And if you can, then I'm going to give you the benefits. All right, first, the main one that you will see is 16-8. So if you've watched any of my YouTube videos, I've talked about the 16-8 schedule quite a bit. Basically, that's the easiest version of this, all right? So what that is a 16-hour fast. So 16-hour fast and an 8-hour feeding or eating window. So typically what this looks like, if you have a standard schedule, regular schedule, and again, I know everyone's unique. Everyone's got different jobs. Some work nights, some work during the afternoon. So you've got to make this fit you and your schedule. However, to break this down, basically one of the versions a lot of people do, have your last meal in the evening at 7 o'clock. If you have a meal at 7, your next meal won't be until 11 a.m. the next morning. Or bump an hour. Have a 8 p.m. meal each night, 8 p.m. meal, and then your first meal the next day will be lunch at 12. That's a 16-hour fasting window. All right, so what that leaves you with is 8 hours to eat, from 12 to 8 or from 11 to 7 each day, okay? So that's one of the more popular versions right now. Also, another thing to do with this is you can do this every day, alternating days, or even once per week, all right? So that's where I say there's so many different variations of intermittent fasting, how to do it. So just because you see intermittent fasting 16-8 doesn't mean you have to do it every day, all right? You can do it, like I said, every single day of the week, Monday through Sunday if you want. You can do it every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. All right, you can try that route. You can do one day a week, say every Monday, to where you're just gonna fast. Sunday evening, you're gonna have that 7 p.m. meal or 8 p.m. meal, and then you're not gonna eat until lunch on Monday. All right, so, and this is just one variation because fasting is extremely popular right now, and there's a lot of ways to do it, a lot of different types. This is usually what I recommend. However, I will see men doing 24-hour fast. They'll do one day a week of a 24-hour fast or 2 days a week of a 24-hour fast. All right, those get a little bit more extreme. So one of the easier variations, especially when you're following my programs, then you're gonna wanna make sure you're maintaining enough fuel to fuel each of these intense workouts you're going to be doing. You want good energy levels, you wanna feel good, you want your cognitive abilities to still be there, because a lot of times when you start lacking food, you're foggy. You got that little brain fog going on. You just don't always feel good. You get irritable. There's a lot of things that happen when you start fasting too long. There's good benefits, but there's some side effects that go along with that, all right? So basically, this is the way I usually recommend you structuring an intermittent fasting plan if you're following my programs. All right, so let me get this out of the way, and then we'll touch on a couple other things real quick on intermittent fasting. So basically, you know the structure, you know how to do it. A couple of the benefits is intermittent fasting will improve your insulin resistance. So that's one key benefit. It's gonna help reduce inflammation. because just inflammation from doing things throughout the day, especially when you're working out. When you're working out your internal body, guess what? You are going to get some inflammation going on, and this is one of the ways to offset that. It's also going to help with cellular repair, but not a whole lot when you're doing the 16-8. That's one of the things I do want to tell you. That is one of the big benefits, one of the huge benefits that you hear everybody preaching about. All right. Typically, autophagy is what it's called, when your body's going to reproduce new cells. All right. Old damaged cells get repaired. They're going to be replaced with new cells, which is going to help with, longevity and the youthfulness that you're trying to maintain. All of those things, but a lot of those come with long-term fasting. Not really long-term fasting, but some of the 48-hour fasts. If you're going to fast for 48 hours doing some of those things, then that's where autophagy really starts kicking in. It actually starts a little bit at the 24-hour window, and then the longer you fast beyond that, the more autophagy you're going to experience. However, there's so many things that go with that. It's not one of the things that when you're following my programs, I typically recommend, okay? I recommend all these other benefits, boosting your growth hormone with the 16-8 split. So when you're doing the 16-8, then you're still going to get a lot of great benefits, all right, that you're looking for your immediate goals, as far as weight loss goals, trying to lose fat, muscle building goals, still trying to build muscle, because when you get older, that's the key to longevity. That's the key to recharging you, to getting some of that youthfulness back, is elevating your testosterone levels, elevating your growth hormone levels, getting those bumped up, and that's going to help boost metabolism, help get some of that fat off your body, help with your confidence, help you feel better, and help with your energy, brain function. All of these benefits are going to come even from doing the 16-8 intermittent fasting split, and it's a lot easier to sustain, all right? And I'm just being upfront with you because, like I said, some of these long-term fasting programs are really difficult on some men, especially if you're already faced with some challenges. If you're already just trying to get back into this, you're trying to just start getting some of this weight off, you're trying to just get active again, then I don't usually recommend you go all in with these longer fasts, because it's easy to get burned out. It's easy to think, well, crap, I don't feel good all the time. If I'm having to do this, I'd rather not do this. And you don't have to do it. So I just wanted to point that out. And even intermittent fasting, the 16-8, I will tell you that's not for everybody either. All right, so that's one of the other things I wanted to tell you, because a lot of the intermittent fasting that you got to make sure it's going to fit with your schedule. All right, if you can read that, didn't write that very well, because we all have different work schedules. All right, and it's one of those things that if it's hard for you to do, and it's a challenge for you to do, and you're trying to work out, you're trying to eat right, you're trying to do all these things, but this is the thing that keeps setting you back, you keep messing up, then go and take it out. I don't want you to think you have to do this. All right, you're still going to get great benefits, you're still going to get optimal benefits without doing the intermittent fasting, all right? But so that's one of the things I really want you to be aware of. Also, here's another thing, and a lot of these I come across when people are asking me questions, or they're seeing some of my recommendations to some of my clients, some of the people following my programs, and they want to give their 2 cents on what they're doing. But one of the ones I come across is you still have to make sure at the end of the day you're eating enough calories. Because when I'm sitting here answering a question, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever I'm answering a question, I will see other people go in and talk about, well, I eat 1 meal a day and I feel great. My fasting window is a 20-hour fasting window or whatever, okay? They're doing 1 meal a day, they're doing 2 meals a day. I see a lot of men talking about that, especially older men, and that kind of worries me a little bit, because at the end of the day, you need enough calories, all right, to fuel your workouts. You need enough calories to repair, replenish, recover from your workouts. You need enough calories to function optimally. There's so many benefits to getting these calories. So if you're telling me you're eating 1 or 2 meals a day, that means you're eating less than 1,000 calories. If you've got a 1,000-calorie meal, then that 1 meal is massive, okay? And if you've got 2 500-calorie meals, that's still giving you 1,000 calories. That's still half of what you probably need, all right? So at the end of the day, you still have to maintain a certain amount of calories to be able to function optimally. Because here's what's going to happen. The longer you go on really low calories, the more damage you're going to do to your basal metabolic rate, your metabolism. All right, so basically what's going to happen, you're lowering these T3 levels, your thyroid hormone. You're going to lower that, and that's going to lower your basal metabolic rate, your set point, metabolic set point. So if, for instance, and I'm going to touch on this real briefly, but I've got a much better breakdown on the nutrition video. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you watch that nutrition video where I touch on the basal metabolic rate and what our goal is when you're trying to lose fat, okay? But for instance, basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories your body needs at rest to maintain your current weight. Maintain without losing weight or without gaining weight. So let's use 2,500 calories as an example. If you eat 2,500 calories every day and you don't gain weight, you don't lose weight, that's your set point. That's where you need to be just to maintain your weight. So when you create a deficit, say cut 500 from that, you need 2,500, but you're only feeding your body 2,000. Guess what? You're gonna start losing weight, okay? You're creating a caloric deficit, which is the goal here. Well, think about your basal metabolic rate being at 2,500, and you're telling me you're eating 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, so you're telling me you're only eating 1,000 calories. All right, if you're getting 1,000 calories and you're following a workout, you're burning, even if you're doing half-ass workouts, you're burning 300 calories. So you are now, the 1,000 calories from the 25 puts you in a 1,500 calorie deficit every day. Now you're actually taking 300 of those calories to feed those workouts. That's another, you're 1,800 calorie deficit. All right? 1,800 calorie deficit. If you do that for too long, you are going to completely damage your metabolism. So what you're doing is you're lowering your set point. So where you used to be able to eat 2,500 calories without gaining weight, you're going to get it down to where 1,200, 1,100, 1,000 is your set point, meaning you will rebound like nobody's business once you stop eating this way, because what's going to happen is now your BMR is, let's say, go with 1,000, at 1,000. So if you eat 1,500 calories for the next few days, you're gaining weight. You're instantly in a caloric surplus. You see what I'm saying? That's how you gain weight, by eating more than your body needs for maintenance. So if you start doing long-term 1 meal a day, 2 meal a days, then that's what you're setting yourself up for. So that's why you'll notice some of these extreme weight loss shows, the Biggest Loser shows and stuff like that. They set these guys up on 1,000 calories and people see them losing all this weight. Well, guess what? You're losing a lot of fat. They're losing a lot of fat, but they're also losing all the muscle mass that they have. They're losing all of these other things, and they're lowering their metabolic set point to where they're going to be at this show for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is they do. And great, you're doing all of these things in front of these people, but as soon as you go home and you start eating even a little bit like you used to, you're going to rebound so quickly. You're going to be gaining tons of fat every single week. That's what happens. That's why when you see these guys a year down the road, a lot of times they're even bigger than they were prior to going on the show, because they set themselves up for failure. They're so enamored with the beginning stages and losing the weight quickly and not correctly that you're setting yourself up for failure down the road. You're setting yourself up for rebounds. All right. And it's the same with lean guys. One quick example. I used to be a competitive bodybuilder, and when I would compete, you do the same thing. That's the bad thing about it. That's why bodybuilding is as far from healthy as you can get. All right. You look lean, you look great. Started out at 3,000 calories. You know, that's basically what happens. 3,000 calories, I still maintain weight. So I'm at 2,800, start dropping fat. 2,500, drop fat. 2,200, I start dropping fat. So you do that for 12 to 20 weeks, depending on how much fat you have to get off your body. So what happens 20 weeks down the road, you look great, you look amazing, but your metabolic set point is so low now, it went from 3,000 to now you may be at 1,500. So anytime you eat above 1,500, which is what you do because you've been dieting so long. You've been dieting so long, you can't wait to get that cheeseburger. You can't wait to get a pizza. You can't wait to eat some tacos. Well, your body instantly stores it as fat. Every day you're gaining weight. Every week you're gaining fat. Every month you're tripling. So you're putting so much fat back on your body. That's called the rebound effect. So that's the problem when you do things that you see some of these fad dieters doing is, yeah, you're losing weight fat. The ketogenic guys, of course you're losing a lot of weight fast, but look at the long-term effects of what you're doing now. And there's a lot of potential damage that can be done. And when you start damaging yourself internally by damaging that metabolism, then that leads to mental issues as well, because you went from feeling great. You went from feeling bad at the start to feeling amazing, thinking, I'm never going back. Well, guess what? Going back is easier to get to than you think, because you've already you've lowered that metabolic set point so low. So now anything above that is going to be stored as fat. Hopefully that all makes sense. I kind of went off a little bit different there, but I just wanted to set my point, or at least get my point across with some of these people that think eating 2 meals a day and fasting the rest of the day is good. It's not. There's some potential short-term benefit, but nothing long-term. So your schedule, make sure you can intermittent fast and it fits your schedule. Make sure you're still going to be eating enough calories, and then also eating the right kinds of food. So if you're going to intermittent fast, that doesn't mean, okay, well, got this 8-hour fasting window, so I can only eat 3 times. So that means my calories need to be high, so I'm going to eat cheeseburgers. I'm going to eat more food from bad choices. That's not what that means, but that's what a lot of people tend to do. They think, okay, well, I'm naturally in a caloric deficit because I'm only eating 3 meals a day, so I've got to make up for it. So I've got to have a bowl of ice cream before I go to bed, otherwise I'm not going to have enough calories. That's where this leads to failure also. You still need to make sure if you're fasting, you're getting the right amount of calories right there, and you're still eating the right kinds of foods, all right? Right foods. Eating right foods, making sure you're still getting good whole foods that are full of vitamins and minerals. You're getting your macros, your lean proteins, your essential fats, your fibrous carbs. So all of those need to be something that you can do. And then lastly, before I would even recommend that, make sure it's something you can sustain. The sustainability for the duration of the program. I don't mean the rest of your life, okay? I'm talking about getting to your goal weight, getting to your goal look, getting to your goal health, whatever that is. Because at the end of the day, once you get to where you feel better about yourself, you look better, you know you're healthy, you go get your blood work done, the doctor's shocked, man, what did you do? Continue doing that. Well, it is a lot easier to maintain. Regardless of what you might have heard, the maintenance is way easier than it is than getting there in the first place. So that's what you need to focus on. All of this stuff has to be something you can do for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever program you're following. And even if you finish one of my programs, you finish one of Mark's programs, you finish somebody's program, and you get 16 weeks down the road and you feel better, you look better, you're healthier, but you still got a ways to go, well then jump into another program and continue to do what you can to help get there. That doesn't mean you're done. At the end of one of our programs, that doesn't mean it's over for you, there's nothing else to do, now you're on your own. There's programs for all body types, programs for all stages, programs for the gym, programs for home, whether you have dumbbells at home, bands at home. So we've given you a ton of options, and basically you just need to make sure you can do what you can do, but you can sustain as well. Sustain throughout the program. That's where the sustainability comes from. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. I wanted to basically just touch on intermittent fasting benefits, but also let you know that it's something that can be optional. It's not required. Even though we preach it, we tell you the benefits of it, and we would love for you to try the carb cycling and intermittent fasting together. At the end of the day, carb cycling needs to be done. It's a necessity because carb cycling is what's going to give you the greatest benefits. It's going to continue to give you your carbohydrates. It's going to continue to make sure you're eating enough calories overall, and your hormone levels are still high. All of these great benefits that are coming with the carb cycling. And if you can combine intermittent fasting, whether it be every day, every other day, once a week, like we touched on earlier, then that will actually amplify your benefits. So that's great. But If by doing intermittent fasting you're miserable, if by doing it you're failing at some of these other things, you're failing at getting enough calories, you're failing at, well, crap, now I didn't have enough time to get my last meal in. So, well, I would rather you scratch that and just continue to focus on the carb cycling and making sure you're eating your protein when you're supposed to be eating it, making sure you're supposed to be eating your complex carbs, you're getting your complex carbs on the days you're doing your resistance training and the days it's scheduled in your program. All of those things should be a priority. But that being said, hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully intermittent fasting is something that if you've been wanting to try, now you know whether you should or not. Now you know how to set it up. Now you know what the benefits are, and now you know that it's not necessarily something that has to be incorporated. But man, again, make sure you check out the nutrition breakdown video where I go over the protein, carbs, and fats, because that is going to be crucial to all of our programs. And that being said, God bless.